job. This causes your mind to be plagued with impossibilities, because surely it must be impossible for me to be all I can be if I can't seem to make it from promise to manifestation. Somebody say impossible.
Impossible.
And as life continues the journey on, it seems like as soon as we overcome one obstacle, we're faced with another one. As soon as I make it through this, I'm troubled with that. As soon as I come out of this mess, I unintentionally dive into another one. As soon as I get my bills paid, I got more in the mailbox for me. And this causes you to feel like it's impossible to ever fully overcome the hardships. You start to feel like it's impossible to live debt-free. It starts to feel like it's impossible to have a moment of peace. And the trials, they tend to grow harder and more painful, and it seems more dreadful, and it seems like you're faced with endless impossibilities and difficulties. And the two words that begin to plague your mind are, I can't. I can't make it. I can't do better. I can't be successful. It's impossible. Some of us are faced with financial hardships. Some were victims of the recession, where as you lost your job, you were barely making ends meet with a job, and now the job is gone and the bills are piling up. Laid off without a cause, and some of us have jobs but still can't make ends meet. It seems like there's more bills coming in than money is coming in, and it's beginning to feel like it's impossible to make it out of your tight spot. Somebody say impossible. Some of us ended up in some messed up relationships, getting linked up with somebody who seems like they were the right one, so you locked them into position in your life as your boo, as your girlfriend, as your boyfriend, as your wife, as your husband, but didn't know that the person you hooked up with is not who they say they were. They're a great pretender. Come on, y'all. They didn't tell you that they were a user. What they didn't tell you is that they were a liar. What they didn't tell you is that they were a cheater. What they didn't tell you is that they were a deceiver. They didn't tell you that they were a heartbreaker. They didn't tell you that they were abusive. So now you're locked into this thing, and it seems like there's no way out. They got your mind too wrapped into them through the word called love, and you can't escape their clutches. So now you're in a relationship whereas you're abused mentally, emotionally, and physically. Somebody say impossible. And through all of life's difficulties, after a while, you don't feel like the Superman you used to feel like. You don't feel like the Superwoman that you used to feel like, and your optimistic nature drifts away from you, and you begin to feel like you're losing your mind. Have you ever been there where you felt like you were just losing it? Your sanity starts to be messed with, your emotions become chaotic and topsy-turvy. You can't get your mind together. 1 minute you're happy, the next minute you're depressed. Life difficulties have caused you to be like you're on a fritz right now. You used to be optimistic, you used to see the glass half full, but now you're negative and you see it as half empty. It starts to feel like the weight of the world is resting on your shoulders, feeling like your life is crumbling. Seems like the walls are closing in on you, and all you can see in front of you is the word impossible. Well, I came to encourage somebody on tonight that after this, you're still possible. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed in us. So all of my trials that I'm going through are my sufferings. All of my tribulations were my sufferings. Being lied on was your suffering. Being neglected and forsaken by loved ones was your suffering. Being abused mentally was your suffering. Being abused physically was your suffering. Being homeless was your suffering. Being broke was your suffering. Being having a broken heart was your suffering. Having your parents forsake you was your suffering. Being ostracized in the church was your suffering. Being overlooked time after time was your suffering. Being taken for granted was your suffering. Being taken advantage of was your suffering. Losing your apartment was your suffering. Getting a bad report from the doctor was your suffering. Being diagnosed with a disease was your suffering. I'm talking about sufferings right now, but after this, the Bible says that there will be glory. So that lets me know that I'm possible. After all of my trials, after all of my tribulations, after all the hell that I go through, after all of the storms, after all of the suffering, I'm still possible. For all things work together
for the good.
Them that love God. That means that the good is working for me. That means that the bad is working for me. That means that the ugly is working for me. That means that the mountaintop experience is working for me. That means that the valley experience is working for me. So I'm glad to know that my circumstances do not dictate the outcome. But it doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what you're currently going through. It doesn't matter what you're faced with. After this, there will be glory. glory. I'm still possible after this. I can still come out
Come on now.
I can still be successful after this. Glory has my name on it. I know that you've been hurt. I know that you've been downtrodden. I know that you've been going through this. Seems like there's no hope, but we serve a God that has all hope.
Yes.
He tries to steal our hope. He tries to steal our joy. He tries to steal our peace of mind. But after this, I'm still possible. After my suffering, I'm still possible. After my trial, I'm still possible. After being broke for so long,
Preach, man.
after people lying on you, you're still possible. After feeling like there's no way out, you're still possible. All things work together. That means every problem that you had is working together. That means every trial that you've been going through is working together. That means the abusive relationship is working together. It's working together for the good. You get to love God, so you need to rest assured in God's promise that everything is going to work together. It's not in the promise, it's in the deed. It's going to work together. It doesn't matter what it feels like. It doesn't matter what it seems like. Understand this, that after this,